The universe, as it turns out, has a sense of humor, not the kind that makes you chuckle politely at a dinner party, but the kind that makes you question your life choices while simultaneously feeling like the butt of a cosmic joke. I, Vornik Drell, third commander of the Galactic Hegemony's elite intimidation corps, was about to learn this lesson the hard way. Target approaching checkpoint. Commander. My subordinate Thrax announced, his four eyes blinking in rapid sequence, a clear sign of nervousness among our species. Excellent, prepare the intimidation chamber. I replied, straightening my ceremonial intimidation cape. The fabric woven from the scales of the feared draconian beast of Sector 9 shimmered with an ominous glow. It had cost me 3 months' salary, but the effect was worth every credit. Is everything else ready? Thrax nodded, all 6 of his arms simultaneously operating different control panels. Atmospheric pressure set induce mild discomfort, temperature lowered to produce involuntary shivering. Background audio track of predatory growls and distant screams loaded, lighting adjusted to accentuate your facial ridges and make your eyes appear to glow. Perfect, I smiled, revealing my carefully polished fangs. The dental enhancement procedure had been painful, but again worth it. First impressions matter in the intimidation business. Now, a quick word about humans. Our intelligence reports describe them as soft, fragile creatures with no natural defenses, no significant strength, and absolutely no intimidation potential. They were newcomers to the galactic community, having stumbled upon faster-than-light travel purely by accident, something about a coffee maker, a particle accelerator, and what they called a Monday morning. The hegemony had decided to fast-track their integration by assigning them minor, non-critical roles within our vast empire. My job was simple. Make sure they understood their place in the cosmic hierarchy. Bring up the file on the human, I ordered, and a holographic display materialized before me. Leo Parsons, cargo pilot. Recently hired by Transgalactic Shipping. First assignment beyond their solar system. He looks unremarkable, Thrax observed. They all do, I said dismissively. That's the problem with humans. No distinguishing features, no impressive appendages, no natural weapons, just pink skin and unnecessary amounts of hair. And yet, Thrax said, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper, have you heard the rumors? I rolled my eyes, which, given that I have 3 of them arranged in a triangle formation, was quite an impressive gesture. Not the stories again, Thrax. They say a human once stared down a Krell beast without flinching. Propaganda. They say a human negotiator made the Swarm Queen herself back down during the border disputes. Exaggeration. They say, enough. I snapped. These are nothing but tall tales spread by humans to make themselves seem more important than they are. Our psychological profile is clear. Humans are easily intimidated, especially by shows of superior technology and physical dominance. This Leo Parsons will be no different. The door chime interrupted our conversation. He's here, Thrax announced unnecessarily. I took a deep breath, inflating my thoracic sacs to increase my apparent size by 30%, a classic intimidation technique. Send him in, and Thrax. Record everything. This will be textbook. The doors slid open with a dramatic hiss. We'd adjusted the hydraulics specifically for this effect, and there stood my target, Leo Parsons. Human, male, approximately 1.8 meters tall. Brown hair, 2 eyes. How do they manage with just 2, wearing what appeared to be the standard transgalactic uniform, though it hung loosely on his frame? Hey there, the human said, lifting one hand in what our cultural briefing had explained was a greeting gesture. I'm Leo. Sorry I'm a bit late. Your space station's layout is confusing as hell. No offense. I blinked, momentarily thrown off by his casual tone. This was not how intimidation sessions typically began. The subject was supposed to enter cautiously, already cowed by the reputation of the elite intimidation corps. I recovered quickly. Human, I began, using my deepest vocal register. You stand in the presence of Commander Vornik Drell, 3rd Commander of the Galactic Hegemony's elite intimidation corps. I paused for effect, allowing my cape to billow slightly thanks to the hidden fans installed in my shoulder pads. The human Leo looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite interpret. Cool cape, he said. Does it come in blue? Thrax made a choking sound from his station. I shot him a warning glare. You misunderstand the gravity of this situation. I continued, moving forward with the prepared script. This is not a social call. This is your official induction into the hegemony's workforce. You will be evaluated, categorized, and assigned duties commensurate with your limited capabilities. Leo glanced around the room, seemingly more interested in the decor than in my intimidating presence. Nice place you got here. Very spacey. Love what you have done with the lighting. Very Halloween. Halloween? Earth holiday. People dress up in scary costumes. Kids get candy. It's a whole thing. I felt my grip on the situation slipping. This was not proceeding according to the manual. I decided to sell it to Phase 2. Silence! I roared, activating the subwoofers hidden beneath the floor. The room vibrated with the force of my amplified voice. Your species is new to the galactic stage. Untested. Unproven. You will show proper deference to those who have ruled the stars since before your ancestors crawled from the primordial ooze of your insignificant planet. There, that usually did the trick. Most species would be trembling by now, perhaps even prostrating themselves. Leo scratched his chin. You know, I had a drama teacher who sounded just like you. Mrs. Patel, terrifying woman, could project her voice to the back row of the auditorium without a mic. You two would get along. I stared at him, my 3 eyes wide. Was he comparing me to an Earth education passer? Listen, Leo continued, apparently taking my silence as an invitation. I appreciate the whole intimidation routine. Really, it's impressive. The cape, the voice, the mood lighting, but I have got a shipment of synthetic coffee beans that needs to get to Proxima Station by Thursday, and my schedule's pretty tight. So maybe we could fast forward to the part where you tell me what you actually want. I felt a bead of fluid run down the back of my neck, the equivalent of what humans call cold sweat. This was unprecedented. The human wasn't just unintimidated, he was bored. I looked to Thrax for support, but my subordinate was suddenly very interested in his control panel, all 4 eyes deliberately avoiding mine. Time for Phase 3, the final phase reserved for the most resistant subjects. Very well, human, I said, pressing a concealed button on my gauntlet. The floor around Leo's feet illuminated with a red circle. Perhaps a demonstration of power will help you understand your position. The gravity in Leo's circle increased by 50%, enough to cause discomfort but not injury. It was a favorite technique, watching other species struggle against the increased weight, their pride crumbling as they realized their physical inferiority. Leo's eyebrows rose slightly, he shifted his weight, bounced on his toes experimentally, then looked up at me with an expression that can only be described as mild interest. Earth has varying gravity too, you know, he said, conversationally. I grew up in Montana, that's in North America, but I spent 5 years working construction on the moon colonies. About 1/6 Earth gravity up there. Then I did a stint on Mars. About 38% Earth gravity. This, he gestured to the floor. This feels like, what? About 1.5 Gs. It's actually kind of nice. Good for the back muscles. He proceeded to do what appeared to be a stretching exercise, right there in the increased gravity field. Thrax made a sound that might have been a suppressed laugh. I shot him my deadliest glare, which only made the sound transform into an unconvincing cough. Enough games, I snarled. Deactivating the gravity field. This was going very, very wrong. Let me be plain, human. Your kind is weak. Your technology is primitive. Your understanding of galactic politics is childlike. You have been permitted to join the hegemony out of charity. Nothing more. You will be assigned menial tasks appropriate for your limited abilities, and you will be grateful for the opportunity. Leo looked at me for a long moment, his expression shifting to something more serious. For a brief, hopeful moment, I thought I'd finally broken through. Then he smiled, not a nervous smile, not a submissive smile. The kind of smile that suggested he knew something I didn't. Commander Vornek, he said, pronouncing my name perfectly on the first try, which was irritating in itself. I'm just a cargo pilot. I fly stuff from point A to point B. I'm not here to challenge anyone's authority or mess with your what-did-you-call-it? Galactic hierarchy. Hierarchy. I corrected automatically. Right. That, look. I respect that you have got a job to do. The scary alien bit, the cape, the voice, it's all very professional. But here's the thing, he took a step closer and I found myself fighting the urge to step back. Humans have been intimidating each other for our entire history. We have perfected the art of making each other feel small, scared, and insignificant. We have built entire societies around it. So when someone tries to intimidate us, we tend to recognize the technique. He took another step. I held my ground, but only through sheer force of will. Also, he continued, his voice dropping slightly, we come from a death world. Oh, what? That's what you call them, right? Planets with extreme conditions. Earth has everything: predators that can tear you limb from limb, weather that can flatten entire cities, diseases that can wipe out millions, terrain that can swallow you whole. We evolved being scared all the time. It's our natural state. So when something tries to deliberately scare us, he shrugged. It's kind of like coming home. I stared at him, trying to process this information. It contradicted everything in our briefings. Humans were supposed to be soft, easily frightened creatures from a temperate, forgiving world. Not whatever Leo was describing. That can't be right, I said. More to myself than to him. Oh, and one more thing, Leo added, glancing at his wrist device. I'm actually not late. I'm exactly on time. Your invitation said 15:30 station time. It's 15:30 now. He held up the device, showing me the display. I just said I was late because I wanted to see how you'd react. Professional habit, I like to know who I'm dealing with before we get down to business. I felt my thoracic sacs deflate involuntarily. The human had been testing me. So, Leo said brightly, clapping his hands together, now that we have got the formal intimidation ritual out of the way, can we talk about my shipping routes? I have got some suggestions that might improve efficiency by about 23% based on my analysis of the current system. I opened my mouth, closed it, then opened it again. No sound emerged. 3 cycles of rigorous intimidation training and I had no protocol for this situation. Thrax, the traitor, finally spoke up. Perhaps we should move to the conference room. Commander? I have taken the liberty of preparing refreshments. You have what? I hissed. Standard protocol for post-intimidation briefings, Thrax said, not meeting my eyes. Though usually the subjects are too shaken to partake. I could definitely go for a coffee, if you have got it, Leo said cheerfully. Black, no sugar. Of course, Thrax replied. As if we were now running some sort of hospitality service instead of the feared elite intimidation corps. This way, please. As Leo followed Thrax toward the door, he paused beside me. Great cape, by the way. Really selling the whole intimidation vibe. Is it custom? Yes, I admitted. Defeated. Handcrafted from draconian beast scales. Thought so. Quality work. My aunt does cosplay, that's costume play, making elaborate outfits for fun. She'd love the craftsmanship. And with that final indignity, Leo Parsons, human cargo pilot and apparently immune to intimidation, followed Thrax out of my carefully designed fear chamber, leaving me alone with my expensive, utterly ineffective cape. I stood there for several long moments, trying to understand what had gone wrong. My techniques were flawless. My presentation impeccable, my record until now unblemished. The communicator on my wrist chirped. Commander, came the voice of my superior, Fleet Admiral Karras. How did the human induction proceed? I stared at the communicator, paralyzed. My career flashed before my 3 eyes. Commander, report. I took a deep breath. Sir, I think we may need to reassess our understanding of humans. Explain. How could I possibly explain what had just happened? That a simple cargo pilot had walked into my intimidation chamber and walked out completely unaffected. That he had in fact seemed to find the whole process amusing. Sir, I said carefully, request permission to conduct a more extensive study of human psychology. Denied, came the immediate response. The hegemony's assessment of humans is complete and final. They are a minor species of no significant concern. Your job is to process them, not study them. But sir, no excuses, Commander. Results. That is all that matters in the Intimidation Corps. I expect your full report by end of shift. Karras out. The communication ended, leaving me alone with the humiliating knowledge that I had failed. Worse, I had failed against what was supposed to be the easiest assignment possible. I sat heavily in my command chair, cape pooling around me like a defeated puddle of expensive fabric. Outside my chamber I could hear Thrax laughing with the human, actually laughing as if they were old friends instead of representative species of a galactic power dynamic. Oh, you should have seen his face when you started doing squats in the gravity field, Thrax was saying, his voice carrying through the not nearly soundproof enough door. I was just stretching, came Leo's reply. But yeah, that was pretty funny. More laughter, more humiliation. I stared at the ceiling, wondering where exactly I had gone wrong. Was it something in my technique? Was this particular human an anomaly, or was everything we thought we knew about humans completely catastrophically incorrect? One thing was certain. Leo Parsons had walked into my intimidation chamber as a subject to be processed and had walked out as something else entirely. And I, Vornik Drell, third commander of the Galactic Hegemony's elite intimidation corps, had no idea what to do about it. But I had a sinking feeling I was going to find out. Because the worst part wasn't that I had failed to intimidate a human, the worst part was that somehow in some way I couldn't quite define, I had the distinct impression that the human had intimidated me. And as I sat there, surrounded by my useless intimidation props and my expensive, utterly ineffective cape, I realized with growing horror that I was actually looking forward to our next meeting, which was, perhaps, the most intimidating thought of all. The next 3 cycles were the most humiliating of my professional career. Word of my failure spread through the station faster than a quantum virus. Whispers followed me down corridors. Subordinates suddenly found urgent tasks elsewhere when I entered rooms. My fellow commanders avoided eye contact in the officers' mess. Don't take it personally, Vornik, said Commander Nanaxala over nutrient cubes in the dining facility. She commanded the station's security division and had always been irritatingly reasonable. Everyone fails occasionally. I don't, I grumbled, stabbing my food cube with unnecessary force. 27 species. 142 individual intimidation sessions. Perfect record. Until him. The human? Zala's facial tendrils curled with interest. I met him yesterday, actually. He helped me recalibrate the security drones. Apparently he has a hobby fixing machinery. I dropped my utensil. You let a human touch our security systems? Sala's tendrils waved dismissively. He increased their efficiency by 12%. And he taught my lieutenant how to make something called espresso. Morale in my division is up 30%. I stared at her, trying to detect sarcasm. Finding none, I pushed away my half-eaten nutrient cube. Don't you see what's happening? He's infiltrating our command structure, making himself indispensable. It's some kind of human tactic. Or, Sala said, leaning forward. He's just being helpful. Not everything is a power play, Vornik. Of course it is. That's literally our entire civilization. The galactic hegemony wasn't built on helpfulness. Desala shrugged her upper shoulders. She had 6, arranged in pairs. Perhaps that's why humans are interesting. They operate differently. Your Leo, for instance. He's not my Leo, I hissed. Has been offering suggestions throughout the station. Practical ones. Did you know their homeworld has extreme gravitational variations, mountains, oceans? Something called Minnesota. They have adapted their technology accordingly. Some of their solutions are surprisingly elegant. I narrowed all 3 of my eyes. Since when are you an expert on humans? Since I bothered to talk to one without trying to frighten him first, she replied with infuriating smugness. She rose from the table, her imposing 2-meter frame towering over me. You might try the same, oh. And Vornik. I'd lose the cape. It's a bit much. As she walked away, I seriously contemplated the career implications of throwing my nutrient cube at the back of her head. Commander Drell, came a voice from behind me. I turned to find Thrax looking uncomfortable. Admiral Kurus requests your presence, immediately. My stomach organs shifted unpleasantly. Did he say why? No, sir, but he used his intimidation voice. Great. Just great. 10 minutes later I stood at attention in Admiral Karras's office, my cape conspicuously absent. I'd taken Sala's advice, though I'd rather have my fangs pulled than admit it. Admiral Corus was a legend in the Intimidation Corps. 7 feet tall, with boned ridges so prominent they required special doorways, and skin the color of a neutron star, not merely black but a darkness that seemed to absorb light. 4 arms, each ending in talons that could slice through standard hull metal, remained folded behind his back in parade rest position. "Commander Drell," he rumbled, his voice so deep it made my chest vibrate. "Explain to me why there is a human reconfiguring our docking protocols." I swallowed hard. "Sir, I was unaware. This same human who, according to your report, showed unusual resistance to standard intimidation procedures, the human you were supposed to process and assign to cargo duty, that human, Commander Drell, is now working directly with our Chief of Operations, implementing changes to systems that have functioned perfectly adequately for 300 cycles." I felt my exoskeletal plates tightening with stress. "Sir, I attempted to follow standard procedures. Your failure," Karras interrupted, "has created a situation. This human, this Leo Parsons, has somehow convinced half the command staff that his ideas merit consideration. Security, operations, even maintenance all report increased efficiency, thanks to human suggestions."
That sounds positive, sir, I ventured cautiously.
Karras slammed 2 of his 4 fists onto his desk, leaving dents in the metal. "It is not positive, Commander. It is disruptive. It undermines the established order. Today it's docking protocols. Tomorrow, who knows? Command structure, hegemony policy, the very foundations of our society." I blinked rapidly, trying to follow his logic. "Sir, with respect, that seems like a significant leap from optimizing cargo transfers." Karras leaned forward, his massive head looming over his desk. "Do you know how empires fall, Commander Drell? Not from external conquest. From internal change. Small adjustments that accumulate until the original structure is unrecognizable." He straightened. "Your failure to properly intimidate this human has created a breach in our system. You will fix it." "Fix it, sir? The human respects you." I barked out a laugh, then immediately regretted it as Karras's expression darkened. "Forgive me, sir, but he most certainly does not respect me. He found my intimidation techniques amusing." "Precisely. He's comfortable with you. You have established rapport, however unintentionally." Karras tapped a datapad. "You are hereby assigned as liaison to the human Leo Parsons. You will monitor his activities, manage his integration, and most importantly contain his influence." "Sir, I must object, my skills are in intimidation, not babysitting." "Your skills," Karras said coldly, "are whatever I determine them to be. You created this problem, Commander, you will solve it." He pushed the datapad across his desk. "Your new assignment parameters. Effective immediately." I took the datapad. My fingers numb. "For how long, sir?" "Until the human's 3-month probationary period ends or until I determine the situation is resolved." "Dismissed, Commander." I managed a stiff salute and turned to leave. "And Drell." I paused at the door. "If the human's influence spreads further under your watch, you will be held personally responsible. Remember, the Intimidation Corps has no room for failures." "Yes, sir," I said, my voice hollow. As I exited the Admiral's office, I found Thrax waiting anxiously in the corridor. "How bad was it?" he asked. I thrust the datapad at him. "See for yourself." His 4 eyes widened as he scanned the document. "Human integration liaison, but that's not even a real position." "It is now," I said grimly. "Where is he?" "The human? In docking bay 7, I believe. He's—" I didn't wait to hear the rest, striding purposefully down the corridor, my posture rigid with fury. This was outrageous, unprecedented. A decorated commander of the Intimidation Corps reduced to what? Tour guide? Cultural attaché. By the time I reached docking bay 7, my anger had congealed into a cold, hard determination. I would handle this assignment with the same professionalism I brought to all my duties. I would contain the human's influence. I would demonstrate to Admiral Karras that I remained a valuable asset to the hegemony, and I would do it all without losing my dignity. Then I saw what was happening in the docking bay and my dignity evaporated like water on a plasma conduit. Leo Parsons stood in the center of the bay surrounded by a group of maintenance workers, a mix of species, all listening with rapt attention. He was demonstrating something with a piece of equipment I didn't recognize. So you just recalibrate the intake valve like this, he was saying, making an adjustment to the device, and you cut the fuel consumption by about 20%. We figured this out during the Mars terraforming project when supplies were tight. One of the maintenance workers, a grelk with the characteristic blue skin and multiple eye stalks of his species, raised a tentacle. But the manufacturer's specifications explicitly forbid modifications. Leo grinned. That same confident, slightly mischievous expression I remembered from our first meeting. Yo, manufacturers always say that, mostly to sell you replacement parts, but trust me, this mod won't void your warranty, and it will save you a ton of whatever fuel costs here. Credits, supplied another worker. Right, credits. On Earth we call this the MacGyver method, making things work with what you have got. MacGyver? A third worker tried to pronounce the unfamiliar word. Legendary human problem solver, Leo explained. Could fix anything with basic supplies. Kind of a folk hero for engineers. I'd heard enough. What is going on here? I demanded, striding into the circle. The maintenance workers scattered like startled prey, but Leo merely looked up with that infuriating smile. Commander Drell, good to see you again. I was just showing these folks a trick for the atmospheric processors. They have been running at partial efficiency for months, apparently. These personnel have assigned duties, I said coldly, duties that don't include unauthorized modifications to station equipment. The grelk worker nervously raised a tentacle again. Actually, Commander, we received authorization from Chief Engineer Praxtis. The humans' modifications are projected to save 16,000 credits per cycle in energy costs. I felt a headache building behind my third eye. Return to your regular duties, all of you, now. The workers dispersed quickly, though several cast longing glances back at Leo and his mysterious device. When we were alone, Leo set down his tool and regarded me curiously. Did I do something wrong, Commander? I was just trying to help. Help? I repeated, the word tasting bitter in my mouth. Is that what you call it? Disrupting station operations, interfering with established procedures, undermining the command structure. Leo's expression shifted to one of genuine confusion. Whoa! Back up. I showed some maintenance guys how to make their equipment run better. How is that undermining anything? I stepped closer, lowering my voice. Listen carefully, human. This station, like every installation in the hegemony, operates on principles of order, hierarchy, and stability. When you suggest changes, when you implement improvements without understanding the larger context, you create ripples, unpredictable consequences. Like saving money and making jobs easier. Leo raised an eyebrow. Those seem like pretty predictable consequences to me. You are being deliberately obtuse, I snapped. This isn't about fuel efficiency or docking protocols, this is about respecting the established order. Leo nodded slowly. I get it now, this is a cultural thing, isn't it? You guys value stability over innovation. We value knowing our place, I corrected. Something your species seems incapable of grasping. Leo leaned against a nearby console, his posture relaxed in a way that made my tension even more apparent. Where I come from, your place is what you make it. We don't much believe in rigid hierarchies, which explains your chaotic, fragmented society, I countered. To my annoyance, Leo laughed. Oh, we have got plenty of chaos. That's for sure. But we are also the species that went from horse-drawn carriages to landing on our moon in less than a century. Rigid systems don't adapt well, Commander. They break instead of bend. I was about to deliver a scathing rebuttal when my communicator chirped. I checked the message and barely suppressed a groan. It seems, I said with forced neutrality, that I have been assigned as your official liaison for the duration of your probationary period. Leo's face brightened. Hey, that's great. We can work together. We will not be working together. I clarified. I will be supervising your activities and ensuring you don't cause further disruption. Sounds like fun, he said, completely missing the point. When do we start? We start, I said through gritted teeth, with establishing boundaries. You will perform your assigned duties as a cargo pilot, you will not interfere with station operations, you will not suggest improvements to systems you don't understand. And you will report all activities to me for approval. Leo studied me for a long moment. You really don't like change, do you? I don't like unnecessary risks. Sometimes the biggest risk is not taking any. He picked up his tool again. Tell you what, Commander, I will try to be more procedural. But in return, maybe you could try being a little more open-minded. Who knows, you might learn something. I doubt that very much, I replied coldly. Leo shrugged. Your call. So what's first on the agenda, boss? The casual term of address made me wince. First, you will accompany me to administration to complete your formal registration. Then we will review the appropriate protocols for a probationary member of the hegemony workforce. After that we— Actually, Leo interrupted, I was scheduled to make a supply run to the research outpost on Epsilon Station. Priority medical supplies. Unless that's changed with my new supervision arrangement. I consulted my data pad. Indeed, there was a cargo transfer scheduled, marked as priority. The assignment stands. We depart in 2 hours. Leo raised those expressive eyebrows again. As your liaison, I am required to observe your performance of duties. I tried to sound professional rather than resentful. Great, Leo clapped his hands together. Road trip, space trip. This will be fun, Commander. You and me cruising through the stars, getting to know each other better. I closed my eyes briefly, mentally calculating how many sedatives it would take to keep him unconscious for the entire journey. Sadly, drugging the human would probably constitute a diplomatic incident. 2 hours. I repeated. Docking Bay 3, don't be late. As I walked away, I heard him call after me. I'm never late. Remember, that was just to test you. 2 hours later, I stood in Docking Bay 3 beside a standard cargo shuttle, checking the manifest one final time. The supplies for Epsilon Station were indeed critical. Medical equipment, specialized research materials, and provisions for the isolated outpost. Leo arrived precisely on time, carrying a small personal bag and wearing the same transgalactic uniform, though he'd added some kind of leather jacket over it. Ready for adventure? He asked cheerfully. This is a routine cargo delivery, not an adventure. I corrected, handing him the manifest tablet. The course is pre-programmed, the cargo is secured. All you need to do is pilot from point A to point B without incident. Sounds thrilling. He reviewed the manifest quickly, then handed it back. All looks in order. Shall we boarded the shuttle? A utilitarian vessel designed for efficiency rather than comfort. The cockpit had 2 seats, pilot and co-pilot. With minimal personal space. This was going to be a long journey. Leo settled into the pilot's chair with practiced ease, his hands moving over the controls with surprising familiarity. Different layout than I'm used to, but the basics are the same, he murmured, more to himself than to me. You have been cleared for this class of vessel? I asked, suddenly concerned. Went through the simulator training yesterday, passed with flying colors. He grinned at his own pun. Don't worry, Commander, I have piloted everything from ancient Earth propines to Martian hoppers. This baby's a piece of cake. A piece of— Never mind. I strapped myself into the co-pilot seat. Proceed with pre-flight checks. The next 20 minutes passed in surprising silence as Leo methodically worked through the shuttle's systems, confirming each one with the control tower. His professionalism was unexpected. I'd anticipated carelessness, perhaps even recklessness, but his approach was thorough and precise. Tower, this is Cargo Shuttle 775 ready for departure, he finally announced. Shuttle 775, you are cleared for departure. Safe journey, came the response. Thanks, Control. See you in 3 days. Leo engaged the thrusters and we smoothly lifted off from the docking bay. The transition from station artificial gravity to the shuttle's internal systems was seamless. Another surprise. Most novice pilots struggled with the adjustment. Once we were clear of the station and on our programmed course, Leo relaxed slightly, leaning back in his chair. So 3 days there, 1 day for unloading and turnaround, 3 days back, that's a week of quality time, Commander. We should get to know each other. That won't be necessary, I replied stiffly. Come on. He persisted. We are stuck in a metal box together. Might as well make conversation. I will start. I grew up in Montana. That's a state in North America on Earth. Lots of mountains, open spaces. My dad was a park ranger, Mom was a biologist. I learned to fly at 16, joined the Mars Colonial Force at 22, worked construction, then transitioned to piloting when they needed supply runners. I remained silent, hoping he would take the hint. He didn't. Your turn. Tell me about growing up as a... What's your species called again? Drillari, I supplied reluctantly. Jalari, cool name. So, what's the homeworld like? Big family? Little Varnick playing with toy intimidation capes. He grinned. Despite myself, I felt the corner of my mouth twitch. The image was absurd, and not entirely inaccurate. Drillari is a dense urban world, 17 billion inhabitants. Highly structured society, and yes, I did have a toy intimidation cape. It's a traditional gift for younglings who show promise in leadership roles. 17 billion, that's a lot of neighbors. We live in hive structures. Communal efficient, Leo whistled. No wonder you guys are big on order and hierarchy. With that many people, you'd need serious organization. I hadn't considered that our population density might explain our social structures to an outsider. It was simply how things were. What made you join the Intimidation Corps? Leo asked, genuinely curious. Seems like an unusual career choice. It's considered prestigious. I explained, surprised to find myself continuing the conversation. The Corps maintains order throughout the hegemony. We ensure compliance, establish boundaries, maintain the proper power dynamics between species. Through fear. Through respect, I corrected. Fear is a crude instrument. True intimidation is about establishing dominance without violence. It's psychological, not physical. Leo nodded thoughtfully. On Earth we have had similar systems. They tend to work until they don't. Meaning, history lesson, every empire built on intimidation eventually falls. People, or I guess aliens too, eventually decide the benefits of compliance aren't worth the costs. The hegemony has stood for 6,000 years, I pointed out. Impressive. Leo acknowledged. Though humans have political structures that have lasted longer, not empires, mind you. Democracies. Republics. Built on chaos and conflict, I scoffed. Built on the idea that everyone has a voice. Leo countered. Not equally loud voices, admittedly, but still, the noise can be messy. But it's resilient. Hard to break a system that's designed to bend. Our philosophical debate might have continued, but a sharp alarm from the console interrupted. Leo's attention immediately shifted, his hands moving across the controls with practiced precision. Proximity alert, he reported. All casual conversation forgotten. Something's approaching. Fast. I checked the scanner. Unidentified vessel, no transponder signal. Pirates? Leo asked, his voice remarkably calm. Possibly. I activated the emergency beacon. This route is generally secure, but there have been isolated incidents. The comm system crackled to life. Cargo vessel. This is Captain Morg of the independent trader Fortunate Son. Prepare to be boarded. Definitely pirates, I confirmed grimly. Standard procedure is to comply. The cargo is insured, and the hegemony doesn't risk personnel for replaceable goods. Leo frowned. These medical supplies are headed to a research station. They might not be easy to replace. And isn't Epsilon doing critical work on that new virus from Sector 4? He was right, though I was surprised he knew about the outbreak. Yes, but so people could die if these supplies don't get through. The hegemony will send another shipment, I said, though even to my ears it sounded hollow. Leo's expression hardened. Not good enough, Commander. He flipped several switches, then took manual control of the shuttle. Strap in tight. This might get bumpy. What are you doing? I demanded as the shuttle suddenly veered off its programmed course. Making us a less appealing target, Leo replied, his focus entirely on the controls. These cargo shuttles have more maneuverability than their design suggests. I noticed it in the simulator. The pirate ship, now visible through the view screen, adjusted course to match our new heading. They are still coming, I pointed out. Good, Leo said, with a grim smile that looked nothing like his previous friendly expressions. That means they are following us. How is that good? Instead of answering, Leo made another sharp course adjustment, this time diving toward a nearby asteroid field that marked the edge of the system. Are you insane? I shouted, grabbing my restraints as the shuttle shuddered from the sudden acceleration. Those are Class 3 navigational hazards. On Earth we call this playing chicken, Leo said, his eyes fixed on the approaching asteroid field. Let's see if Captain Morg has the stomach for it. The comm crackled again. Cargo vessel. Return to standard flight path immediately or we will open fire. Leo hit the comm button. Captain Morg. This is Leo Parsons of Transgalactic Shipping. We are carrying critical medical supplies to Epsilon Station. People will die without them. I'm asking you to find another target. A harsh laugh came through the speakers. How noble. And how naive. Last warning, heave to or we blast you to atoms. Leo shrugged. Your call, Captain, but, fair warning, I grew up flying through mountain passes for fun. These asteroids don't scare me. Do they scare you? He cut the communication and accelerated further toward the asteroid field. This is suicide. I hissed. Only if they follow us in, Leo replied calmly. Pirates are opportunists. They want easy prey, not risky chases. Trust me, Commander, I have dealt with bullies before. The pirate ship fired a warning shot, a low-power blast that dissipated harmlessly several hundred meters from our hull. They are serious. I warned. So am I. Leo's hands moved with surprising grace over the controls, making minute adjustments. In 3, 2, 1. He suddenly cut our main engines, allowing momentum to carry us forward while activating maneuvering thrusters in a colic sequence. The shuttle rotated 80 degrees, now flying backward toward the asteroid field. What are you doing? I demanded. Showing them I'm serious, Leo said, then hit the comm again. Captain Morg, I'm giving you one last chance to reconsider. We are not stopping. And we are not changing course. If you want these supplies you will have to follow us through the asteroid field. Your call. Through the view screen I could see the pirate ship hesitate, slowing its approach. See? Leo nodded toward the screen. They are reconsidering the risk-reward calculation. As if to prove him wrong, the pirate ship accelerated again, gaining on us rapidly. Or not. Leo amended. Then shrugged. Plan B it is. He spun the shuttle back around and accelerated full thrust toward the asteroid field. I wasn't bluffing about the mountain flying, by the way. Montana has some of the trickiest air currents in North America. This is just like threading the needle between thunderstorms, except, in space, with asteroids and pirates. We entered the asteroid field at dangerous speed, Leo's hands dancing across the controls, making micro-adjustments that sent us weaving between massive space rocks with meters to spare. My stomachs lurched with each near miss, my claws digging deep gouges into the armrests of my seat. They still following? Leo asked, not taking his eyes off his flying. I checked the scanner. Yes, but they have fallen back. They are being more cautious. Good. That gives us the advantage. They don't know where I'm going, but I do. And where exactly is that? I managed to ask between clenched teeth as we narrowly avoided collision with a spinning asteroid the size of a small moon. There's a dense cluster about 2 kilometers ahead. Perfect for what I have in mind. Before I could ask what exactly he had in mind, Leo executed a series of maneuvers that seemed physically impossible for a cargo shuttle. We slipped between 2 converging asteroids, dove beneath a third, then suddenly cut power again, drifting into the shadow of a particularly large rock. Now we wait, Leo whispered, as if the pirates might somehow hear us through the vacuum of space. For what? I whispered back, despite myself. For them to make a mistake. We didn't wait long. The pirate ship entered our sensor range, moving cautiously through the asteroid field, clearly searching for us. Their sensors are better than this shuttle's, I pointed out. They will find us soon enough. I'm counting on it, Leo replied. But sensors have limits in asteroid fields. Too much interference. They will have to get close. He was right. The pirate ship moved closer, adjusting course as it detected our hiding place. When it was less than 500 meters away, Leo suddenly reactivated all systems and shot out from behind the asteroid, not toward the pirate ship but perpendicular to it, on a course that took us straight toward the densest part of the asteroid cluster. They are turning to follow, I reported, watching the scanner. Perfect. Leo's smile was positively predatory now. Watch this. As we approached the cluster, Leo executed another impossible maneuver. Skimming the surface of one massive asteroid and using its gravitational pull to slingshot us around at an angle that sent us hurtling back toward open space. The pirate ship trying to match our trajectory wasn't so lucky. Their larger, less maneuverable vessel couldn't execute the turn with the same precision. They avoided a direct collision but scraped along the asteroid's surface, sending them into an uncontrolled spin. Direct hit, Leo announced with satisfaction. Their maneuvering thrusters are damaged. They won't be following us now. I stared at him in disbelief.
How did you?
Like I said, Commander. Earth is a death world. We learn to improvise. He set a new course, bypassing our original route in favor of a slightly longer but safer path to Epsilon Station. We will be a few hours late, but the supplies will get there. As the adrenaline or whatever the human equivalent was of the chase faded, Leo's expression softened back to its usual affable state. So, where were we? Right, you were explaining why intimidation is better than cooperation. I couldn't help it. I laughed. A full, genuine laugh that surprised even me. What's so funny? Leo asked, smiling quizzically. You, I said, shaking my head. You just outmaneuvered a pirate ship through an asteroid field, saved a cargo of vital medical supplies and probably our lives as well. And you want to continue a philosophical debate? Leo shrugged. We have still got 48 hours to Epsilon Station. Might as well talk about something interesting. And so we did. For the next 2 days we talked about everything. Our respective cultures, histories, personal experiences. I learned about Earth's chaotic, violent past and its improbable progress. Leo learned about the hegemony's rigid stability and the comfort it provided to its member species. By the time we reached Epsilon Station, I had reached a conclusion that would have been unthinkable a week earlier. Admiral Karras was right to be concerned, not because Leo Parsons represented a threat, but because he represented an alternative, a different way of thinking that challenged thousands of years of hegemony doctrine. And the most unsettling part, I found myself increasingly drawn to that alternative. As we completed the cargo transfer and prepared for our return journey, I realized something else. I was actually enjoying Leo's company. His irreverence, his adaptability, his boundless curiosity. They were strangely appealing qualities. Ready to head back, Commander? Leo asked as we boarded the shuttle for the return journey. Yes, I said, then added something I never thought I'd say to a human. And please call me Vornik. Leo's smile was warm. Sure thing, Vornik. Let's go home. Home. The word echoed in my mind as we departed Epsilon Station. The massive space station where I'd spent the last 5 years wasn't really home, it was just an assignment. But as we set course back to that assignment, with Leo Parsons at the controls and a universe of possibilities ahead, I felt something I hadn't experienced in a very long time: anticipation. I still didn't know what to make of humans. They were chaotic, unpredictable and frustratingly resistant to intimidation. But they were also innovative, adaptable and surprisingly principled. Perhaps the galactic hegemony had been wrong to dismiss them as a minor species. Perhaps rigid hierarchy wasn't the only path to greatness. Perhaps change wasn't always something to be feared. And perhaps, just perhaps, losing my nerve in front of a human was the best thing that had ever happened to me.